Hello, everybody. Welcome to UGASports Live on Christmas Eve. We're pleased that you have joined us. My name is Radi Nabulsi. I am your host for this show. I am joined by my co-host, and the only reason anybody's watching on a Tuesday on the 23rd of December is Jim Donnan, the former Georgia Bulldogs head coach, a member of the College Football Hall of Fame, the only man to go in with to my knowledge, who just had the number one rushing offense and the number one passing offense in a season. The man knows more about football than I will ever. I know different seasons, but it's still that's a big deal. So it's not. He wasn't a one-trick pony, folks. He could run the veer or he could run the air raid, whatever you want. He's got it. We also have Dayne Young, who's probably done something cool, but he's young yet. He's not 50 like Kirby Smart. Happy birthday, Coach Smart. Coach Donnan, I'm happy for.
I want to give a shout out. You kind of stole my thunder, but. Really happy 50th birthday to Kirby Paul Smart, and just a real joy for all of us what he's done with this program, but also kind of father and husband he is, and what he contributes to this community outside of being a football coach. He's just a real plus in a lot of different ways. So let's don't take that for granted.
No, not taking it for granted. I mean, I started to put out a tweet about who else has hit their life goals before 50. I mean, it's a kind of a big deal. And I knew every time I looked at how I would word it, it would almost look like I was taking a shot at him. And I just was going to try to point out, that's pretty damn impressive to be a head coach. Hell, he's the best head coach in America, objectively. Yeah. I'm not trying to say it as a fan or a guy who covers the Bulldogs. If I covered Tennessee, I'd say the same thing. Tennessee fans say it. So he's done it, but he's also pretty good guy. So
I've even thought about it with all the coaches doing the double duty right now. Kirby kind of was one of the first to do that super well when he was a coordinator with Alabama, starting the head coaching job at Georgia. I know it's more common with more teams in the playoff, but Kirby kind of set that standard too.
He did. The only other two I would say that hit that mark before 50 would be Barry Switzer and Elon Musk.
Yeah. A select group indeed. So our shout outs to him. What I was about to say before I stole your thunder was, I know you're happy that Christmas is here. You always enjoyed it, but I wanted you to have a Christmas present of your Oklahoma Sooners knocking off the Alabama Crimson Tide, and that didn't happen. And you got a bunch of coal in your stocking, and it's my fault. I called you when they were up 17-0. I'm like, this is great. And you said, let's see if they can hold on. I feel like I'm the guy who moved chairs, put on the wrong hat, whatever superstitious thing you can do. I'm sorry, Coach. I apologize, and I ruined your Christmas.
Hey, I just want to ask a trivia question to everybody out there, and I hope we got a good response from people watching, or they'll watch it later. Has anybody ever seen a punter drop the ball and not hit his foot? Incredulously, I haven't, and I've been kicking or hanging around for 81 years. I've never seen that happen. I've seen a field goal kicker stub his toe and do all that, but just to drop the ball and not even hit your foot. I mean, Ray Charles, Stevie Wonder, anybody could do that. I mean, it's just, and then that really changed the whole game to me. And then, but all my family's out there and celebrating Julia graduating. Congratulations. Now I know her Mimi would be so proud. All of our kids and grandkids now having their degree. That was a real goal for her. But it was just everything was working like it needed to be. And then the exact opposite of the OU game against Alabama during the regular season, OU started giving it away, kind of like Alabama did to OU. So, but I give credit to Kalen DeBoer, the staff. I mean, when it got 17-0, everybody's saying this guy's going to Michigan. I mean, it looked like, they were on the ropes, and they hit that one little flag pass, and then the one play that you'll go back into, the rest of your life is thinking when he rolled out to his left, if he kept running, that might have made a big first down. But he took the shot down the field, and it could have been a touchdown. But but realistically, OU's got so many warts and made so many stupid mistakes penalty wise, and just overall, that's what we see in all these games. Just games are lost, they're not won. But the biggest thing is just the kicking game, how it affects everybody. The OU had a all-conference punter who had a terrible game, not only from that standpoint, but also punting. And then their place kicker had not missed a field goal all year, hardly in a long time. And then that one, when they were trying to kick it and then do an onside kick, he missed. So, and, they had just numerous over the season, just a lot of different faux pas in the kicking game. But we'll talk about the Texas. Make sure we talk about the Texas A&M game, because that was criminal, their game plan, the way they tried to attack Miami with a mobile quarterback dropping back. I just thought that was horse shit.
Can we just talk about it right now? Because I want to hear this.
Yeah,
explain it to us, folks.
I got a lot of respect for Elko. I think he's done a tremendous job as a coach, and also Klein, the coordinator, who's going to Kansas State. But when you're playing against that team that's got those heavy-duty rushers, and you're not running the ball that good, but your quarterback is making a lot of yards on predetermined dropbacks and scrambling and making first downs. Can you imagine what he'd do if you called some quarterback runs? You sprinted him out, you bootlegged him, you naked bootleg, you counter pass, just anything to disrupt those big old boys rushing you like that, because they couldn't. Their defensive backs were just smothering their, Concepcion and all those guys. So he just wasn't getting the time to throw the ball. And I was just, if I'd have had his cell phone, I'd have texted him and say, "What are you doing, man?" And I usually don't. People who listen to this,
no, you do not.
I usually don't be that critical, but they really had a chance against Miami. And then conversely, Miami's kicking game, that punt return was huge. But I want to just say this: what in the world was Miami doing at the end of the first half when they got that turnover and had the ball on the 40-yard line? Those plays right there.
That was nuts.
Newt Rockney had those plays. I think people are being critical of Beck, and he certainly didn't play that well, but they really didn't orchestrate much for him either in that situation. But it was a very fortunate win for Miami. No way to look at it but I do give them credit for this. When crunch time came and they had to Burma Road and take that ball down the field rushing the football, they did it extremely well. And it was impressive what they were able to do on a line of scrimmage. And we'll see what happens. And then, of course, the other games, Ole Miss, nobody really thought that Tulane would do much, but they looked pretty good, and they did a good job of taking care of the ball and not giving Tulane. And then people talking about James Madison, but Dan, he played everybody but the Duck the last half of the game, and was smart. That's what I used to do in these 1AA playoffs. Well, I get somebody hurt trying to make something happen there in the second half. He still scored 51 points. Kind of embarrassing the way they moved the ball on there, but they were going against their lesser guys. But he's got some tape on him. But I can tell you this: I'm taking Oregon against Texas Tech. I'm just telling you right now. Of all the plays out there, I think, and I've got some good scouting report. Texas Tech's first 10 or 12 guys are pretty good, but they don't have the overall team that Oregon does. I think that's going to be a spank.
Coach, I love the point you just made about Oregon playing the second team, because I wondered why Ole Miss did not do that sooner. You saw Trinidad get a little banged up. You saw Kewan Lacey get a shoulder hurt. I know they have, 9-10 days? That just seemed like poor coaching to me from Golding.
This is his first chance. And, I'm sure that Charlie Weiss is trying to, continue to prove the fact that he's the offensive coordinator and all that. But it's just a big deal when you get down to this part of the season. And unfortunately for me, I was involved in like 7 out of the last 11 years that I coached in before I got here at OU and Marshall in some kind of national championship game. And the preliminary deal coming up to that, the teams that are healthy just got a good shot. You look at some of the teams we beat, they were missing guys. A couple games we missed out on. We missed a left tackle once and a center. And you just you don't have any clue about what can happen there in the second half. If you've got the win, take it and go on to the next round, man. That's the only way to do it.
Kirby Smart before the season was asked, questions about outlook And one of the things he mentioned was, timing and how healthy will we be and who's going to develop and who's, he's talked about all the pieces they were replacing. And we like to talk about who the next guy up, who the freshmen are, who's the mouth-watering player going to be in week one. And Kirby Smart's looking at it like, well, what turnovers are what are we going to have? What explosives are we going to give up? Who's available? And he said, what we're working on right now, I'm not, because we were asking him, who's going to be your starter at this spot, that spot. And he's like, I'm looking for 20, well, excuse me, I think he said 30, 40 or 40 to 60 players who can play championship football. And it sounds weird to say that in August because we're like, dude, you got to win your first game. He's like, no, I need 40, 60 guys who can play championship level football. Because if the goal is to win the championship, you got to have those guys ready at the end. You have to have a center who can back up your all SEC center, like Drew Bobo, who's injured. So Malachi Tolliver had to be, and you pointed out last week, Coach, Tolliver was out. He had surgery for a while. So it's every offensive lineman for Georgia's been down. They've had to replace them. They're mostly healthy now, but with Gabe Harris on the, with a turf toe injury, who can Joseph Jonah Ajonye back him up? You got to have the depth. It's not just, we can talk about the coaches, the coaching changes, all the things, but when you have a punter who misses a punt and then you have a key player who's injured, it almost feels like a championship comes down to who's the damn luckiest.
Yeah, I mean, luck is when preparation meets opportunity, but you got to be a little bit fortunate. But I do go back to the fact that if you just look at our development and improvement at all, we're a very young team in the fact we replaced 4 linemen that went to the pros and are on pro rosters and just going down and, over and over, ETN, all those guys. And then Kobe Young goes down, but everybody on our show knows that. But 2 things I would say about any leader that I say about every 5 years, which I really learned a long time ago, is number 1, how do you handle pressure? Because you're going to have day-to-day things in your life that are going to be peaks and valleys, and you've got to be ready to really handle it and make the right decisions that affect so many people, but also affect your success or failure. And number 2, the ability to look into the future. The fact that you're not just thinking about this week or the next week, the long range. And if there's anybody that epitomizes that, it's Kirby, because he's always thinking ahead. He's working on something new to, as far as saving a little time on travel, resting his team a little more. I mean, he's a way ahead of the curve, and I've been very impressed with that part of him. And that's what you got to look for in a coach too, because let's say your position coach, it's not only the fact that how do you handle it during the game, but practice week, getting your team ready, the pressure of the time restraints you're on and all that, but also your players. Okay, here's this Joe Blow here, and right now he's not ready, but if we do this with him, maybe by the bowl season, he'll be able to help us. Or maybe if something happens and you're always looking like that and you're not just thinking about the next game, but certainly that's the number 1 paramount thing. But you go back to Aziz Alarji, what he was able to do in the Sugar Bowl, which nobody knew about until Roddy told us down there that year. I mean, they just kept working that guy, and he was ready, and he was really big in that game. Jordan Davis running on the scout team all year, knocking the offense back, and then at the end of the year they started playing him. I mean, that's the way you do things, and I'm sure they do it at other schools too, but I just think right now we're peaking at the right time, and we're better, so much better than we played against Ole Miss the first time, particularly on defense. And Kobe Young got hurt then, and he's going to be back maybe. Who knows? I hope he'll be ready to play.
So who are those guys on this team? Is it Dinkins? Is that the one that's emerging late?
Yeah, I think Dinkins for sure. And then, we've seen DeMello come along every week. And then you look at the linebacker, what's his name? Grayson, the one linebacker, the freshman linebacker.
Is that Kevius?
Yeah. Yeah.
Is that who we're thinking of?
He's coming along. And then offensively, just Elias Williams and Dontrell and certainly Juan, those guys. And then we're going to have Barbour back maybe, and Taylor, both of who really were ready to rock, that gives you some more edge too there. So it's going to be fun to watch this team play. And we might not be quite as good at start the game, might be some rust, but I think last year got everybody's attention from the standpoint that, hey, you can lose that game as easily as you can win it. And we made some critical mistakes in that game.
Yeah, I went back and I went back. Harrison mentioned this to me. Some of the differences between Georgia when they faced Ole Miss the first time and now. And like third down percentage, it's 5% better. Points allowed, it's 1 point better. Rushing yards allowed is 20 yards or 10 yards fewer. So statistically, on some of the big categories, the defense doesn't sound night and day better than they were. But
wait, our points allowed are only 1 point better. We've only given up a touchdown in the last 4 games, like 1 touchdown. I mean, how's that?
That's what he sent me. So I'll double. He's an intern, so we got to double check him. I know he's watching. So
wouldn't you think that our points allowed would be less than it was when we?
There wasn't a whole, but there weren't a whole lot of games prior to that. So maybe
we also had. He might be including that as one of the games, and that'll help the average because it's 35. So I'm not trying to bust his balls, but
no.
I would think we haven't given up a rushing touchdown in a long time, and then overall, I mean, Austin Peay, man, they messed up all our averages. I mean, they scored more than a lot of these SEC teams.
Yeah, so it wasn't crazy, but sort of like passing yards allowed, allows yard per play. All those are pretty similar. But I'm like, okay, hey, let's look at quarterback pressures. Let's look at passes broken up. Let's look at sacks. Let's look at QBs under duress. The eye test tells you that this defense looks completely different. And I'll just put it this way, Coach. I cannot in any way, shape, or form imagine Ole Miss scoring on 5 straight possessions, touchdowns. Now, it could happen, but I'm with you. The development of Deacon Jones. Yeah.
Go back to this. I mean, you're making some good points, but we talked about the Alabama game. There's no way that quarterback was going to hit 7 out of 7 third down conversions or 19 out of 21 in the first half. I mean, even if he played great. So that was to our advantage. The same thing with this guy. Now, they've got the advantage over Alabama. They can run the ball. So their RPOs and their running game is going to be a lot more threat than Alabama's did. But we also are, and I am myself sitting there watching in the doing the watch along. I'm a lot more confident in our secondary and our alignment and our coverage and our breaking on the ball. And like you said, the pressure package. So I feel good about it.
Well, Coach, what you just said about Ty Simpson, though, I think that's probably what Ole Miss is thinking about Gunnar Stockton, that he was perfect against Ole Miss that first go around. Georgia didn't have to punt in that game. So maybe they're thinking he can't be that perfect for an entire game again.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good point, Dane, because but at the same time, he can play better than he did against Tech and against Alabama. And, he had that C+ game against Alabama. So I didn't think it was C+. I mean, every time somebody brings it up, I mean, the guy was player of the game. And
he was good.
But it's going to boil down to quarterback play as usual. And you just don't know who else talking to Chambliss trying to get him to transfer. And I don't know, can he get another year or what's he going to do?
He's trying to. He's at least lobbying for that to play one more time.
I thought it was pretty funny when Dari Noka and Watson and Doring were interviewing him, and he was talking about he didn't have the credits to get in Ole Miss, but they worked it out. Did you see that?
I did see that. And having covered recruiting at UJ for a long time, there have been some kids that I thought there's no way this young man is ever going to make it into the University of Georgia or Tennessee or Texas or Florida. Sure enough, and especially what drives me crazy is now I know Georgia's not any better than anybody else getting some guys in here. And I won't name names, but there have been a few that I remember Rodney Garner saying, "We can't get him in school, Roddy. We can't get him in school." And I'm like, "Oh, sorry, coach. I hate that for you." And then all of a sudden that dude's playing at Auburn, and Rodney's pissed. He's so furious. He's like, because I had him.
Over the years, that's always been a real
Yeah.
issue for me, and we just got really high standards. But I think the thing that Kirby's done more so than maybe myself and Mark is he's identified those guys, because having been a student athlete here and knows what it takes, he's identified that early on and not really worked on somebody that he felt like was a poor investment as far as getting them in here and their ability to stay. So we've had very few academic disqualifications here. So
and Coach, it's a little harder to get into Georgia than when you were the head coach.
Oh, definitely. And I see that with a lot of my friends that are trying to get their kids in. It's a very difficult situation. The one thing I would tell anybody out there, no matter how much money you make or feel like it's a waste, of get yourself a tutor for your son or daughter and let them start learning how to take the test in the 10th grade. It's not so much what you know, but how you take it. I've seen some people go up 200-300 points just understanding the intricacies and the percentages. So don't just rely on the school. Well, we'll get you an online deal like that. It's going to cost you a little bit, but in the end, you get a degree from the University of Georgia. And if you all of a sudden your score is right up there with where it needs to be, and then you also take AP classes, which everybody needs that. You just can't take the regular. You got to get those. You got a lot better chance of getting in here. So don't wait to the last minute when the pressure's on. Let them learn how to take it. So the first time they take it, they already know what to do. And then the next time they'll do better. I promise you, if you don't listen to anything I say today except football, that will help you, because I've seen it work extremely well. And we used to have to do it for guys to make 25 or 30 points to get the minimum. You know what I mean? And that was with some people that it wasn't their fault. It was just their background was so limited on their education. And these tutors were invaluable for that. So there's plenty of them out there. Princeton, you can do it online, the Princeton Review or something like that. It's going to cost you a little bit, but in the end, nothing more important than your kids.
Yeah, they did this in Rockdale County. They had a bunch of I think we were in 7th or 8th grade. We all took the ACT or the SAT, and you realize it's a slog. And so then we took it again in like 10th grade, and you had 2 years to improve your grades. But I got a lot of guys into college because they scored so low on the ACT, but after taking the third or fourth time, they were better at it. And I remember years of, hey, this guy runs a 10-2. He's a great cornerback. He's committed to Georgia, but he's got to hit that, what was it, 27 or something on the ACT, whatever the low was, 25. And so we were waiting. Is he going to show up in June? And we were calling him every day. Hey, is the test back yet? Did you score in yet? Did you score in yet? And it's come light years from that. And I recommend a lot of people do the dual enrollment too. That is a great way to get into not just Georgia, but a lot of the top end universities. So.
Right. Here's the other thing too, is your competition. I mean, you can say, well, they got a 3.8, they got a 3.9. That'll just get you in the ball game, because with the success we've had in so many areas, not just athletics, but the university as a whole, we're getting an inordinate amount of out-of-state enrollees trying to get here. And then we got a heavily populated state, and it's the place to go. And you just have a big competition you're having to work against. So just envision that your son or daughter is a tennis player, and that tennis player is a 3.5. Most of the people they're going to be playing against getting in here in academics going to be a 4.5 or a 5.0 or a pro. I mean, you got to get them ready, and you got plenty of time to do it. I'm not trying to do anything except encourage you. It can be worked out.
Well, and I was hoping that for my kids one day that a legacy would help. Me being a double dog working there, nope. I've seen a lot of colleagues. It doesn't hurt, but it doesn't help either.
No,
they look at each person on their own merits.
Yeah, and get involved in community service and club work and all that. They like the well-rounded student, but it's just you're going against some heavy competition. So So much for that. But
and now Dane's done bragging about getting it. He knows how to work his double degree in there. It added nothing to the conversation, but he wanted to add his.
You paid for it as a taxpayer.
I give Dayne a lot of credit, man. 3 kids.
I've busted his balls with the brag there because I wish I'd done it.
Got his masters, did all that while that's impressive, Dayne.
Yeah. I'm going to ask you about the upcoming matchups, Coach. But first, I need to mention our friends over at Athens Ford because we got to pay the bills here so I can get rich again and get my degree. You'll see they have fantastic deals on the year-end inventory that they have. You need to go out to Athens Ford. Hey, you still got time. They'll be closed on Christmas Day, but if you got today or tomorrow, you can swing out there and get a new car for someone for Christmas. Pretty sure they'll even find one of those giant bows for you. They will be closed on New Year's Day as well.
Is that a real thing that people surprise their partner with a new car? Like, I would think that's a discussion you have to have, right?
No, hey, dude, you and me, we're broke. Okay, we're raising families. We're journalists, and teachers. We don't make money like this. So the people that can do that, they go out and buy it. They pay cash, and they put a big bow on it and toss someone the keys. It's not just in the Hollywood movies. It does happen. So, and if you don't want to do that, you can still get one together and say, hey, look, I'd like for us to have a new car for Christmas. My wife and I did for years. We would buy something that we needed in the household, and that was our Christmas gift to each other. So it was very practical. It wasn't exactly a big surprise, but we were happy to have whatever it was in the house. So. And we maybe indulge a little bit more than we would normally, but it's like, hey, let's fix the floors or something like that. So if you need a new vehicle for the family, make it a family present. So swing out to Athens Ford, get that. And also still time to see the lights over at the Georgia Botanical Gardens. Be sure to jump in on that as soon as you can. And don't forget, they have the mobile service where they can come to you. And we're towards the last days here before Christmas. You're going to run out of time to get a pie from our friends at Darden's Delights. You can still get some of them in person. You can still order them for New Year's, for New Year's gifts to send people. Say, hey, start off the new year with a new pie. You have it delivered to them. I want to mention we talk about the sweet pies all the time. I've got to get that gooey pie, the get in my belly gooey pie. I want one of those. But they also have the cha-cha chicken pie, the quiche Lorraine, the poppy seed chicken, the all-American cheeseburger pie, which is very good, by the way. I've had that one. So they have succulent pies, not just the sweet ones, but check them all out. And if you are pressed for a gift right now, get an electronic gift card from Darden's Delights. Print it out, drop it in a card, or you can actually, on your phone, you can make it a QR code and print it out, and then they can scan it and see what it is. So get them a gift card from Darden's Delights, or there are also a ton of locations where you can get them, especially if you go buy Striplings. They have them as well. Grab them out of the freezer. That way you're ready for your big Christmas dinner. And remember, a good chunk of the proceeds from all of the pies at Darden's Delights go to help folks with developmental disabilities, like Miss Darden herself, my nephew, and all the folks who could use that help. So it is a great cause. It is run by 2 Georgia grads who have a daughter at UGA. She's smart. She got in. So check out our friends at dardensdelights.com.
And I'm going to sneak in here Atlanta Dental Implant as well, Roddy, because I want to save the end of the show for as many questions as we can pepper Coach with. So here's a word from Atlanta Dental Implant.
Prior to having the dental implants, I was in pain and there were like loose teeth and, it's kind of a little bit of a complex talking or smiling. Having periodontal disease and trying to find a good place like this place to get it done is very difficult. I'm looking at the website and I'm like, wow, they've got their prices like right there. Top arch replacement, bottom arch replacement, whatever you need. Highly recommend it. ATL Dental Implants. I'm learning to smile again, let's just say.
Yeah, and check out Dr. Skylar Holcomb, a huge Georgia fan. I know that I don't know that he's going to New Orleans. I'll have to ask him. But if you want to talk Georgia football while getting your teeth fixed, they can do that. And they also have the IV system. So if you're getting work done, you will. If you're anxious, you won't be anxious with that sedation IV. Check it out.
Real quick, a shout out I wanted to give because our last watch along show, we got a message that someone, a fan of ours, Joshua Askew, was watching from St. Jude Hospital. And Joshua sent me a message and just thanked us for the shout out. They're up there because Joshua and his wife, Kelly, their 3-year-old son, Bowen, has a brain cancer, a rare brain cancer that he's fighting. So I just want to send some love because, man, this time of year especially, it's been a tough year for that family. And so anyone that's dealing with anything like that in your world, but specifically to Josh, Kelly, and Bowen Askew, Georgia fan, coach, he sent me a message and said, a big fan of yours from when you coached Georgia and then what we've done media-wise as well. So I want to make sure that they feel heard and seen and the love and support from what we do at UGASports.com.
Yeah, that's tremendous. And getting to know some of our fans that watch the different shows, seeing them out in public and or at the games and all. Anytime you see me, tell me you watch it. It makes me feel good. So always glad to say hello. And we built up a pretty good little following of people in our inner circle. So hopefully things go well. And you can't say enough about St. Jude. Just really tremendous what they do for kids. It's just really heartwarming.
Fantastic.
There's a Facebook page called Brave for Bowen if you want updates on that situation.
Our shout out to the Askew family. Our thoughts and well wishes are with you. Godspeed of Bowen to getting ready. So hopefully up and around by Christmas morning. Let's pray for that. Georgia will be off for Christmas. Then I know we have the 27th. We get to talk to, I think, Mike Bobo. The 28th, we speak to Glenn Schumann, or vice versa. We get the offensive coordinator with some players, then the defensive coordinator. And then on the 29th, they travel to New Orleans. The 30th is a big media day. 31st, we get to talk to Kirby Smart. And then the 1st, January 1st, Georgia faces Ole Miss again. We kind of touched on that. Coach, I'd like to get your a few more thoughts on that one. The Keywan Lacey issue with a bruised shoulder. You've been around football all your life. Do you think that is consideration? Do you think he's fine by then? I know it's complete guess on your part, but give me your thoughts on, is Georgia more banged up or is Ole Miss more banged up?
Just based on the fact he came back in the game, there's no way they put him back in there if it was any worse than that. So, I think the fact he's able to play, he's going to have, 15, 16 days to get ready. So you just got to expect to be ready, that he's going to be ready. But as far as our schedule, players worked out yesterday and had a pretty good practice schedule, I think, from what I've heard. And then all kind of, as many of them that can, went home for a few days, and they get back Christmas night and have a team meeting. Then they'll practice Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday here, and then leave and go to New Orleans. And then, like Roddy said, we'll have a practice down there Tuesday, and then kind of a walkthrough deal with the press on Wednesday. They'll get to see them do their yoga, and then Thursday kickoff time.
We actually get to watch part of practice on the 27th, so maybe we'll get yoga twice.
When's that? Where's that? Is that in?
It'll be in Athens. Yeah.
Okay.
So
Nobody ever did the yoga like Will Muschamp. That photo is one of my favorites.
Yeah, big Will.
Aside from that game, there's a couple other ones that are going to be very interesting. You said that you were all in on Oregon versus Texas Tech, but let me get your thoughts on the Ducks playing out at or facing off with Texas Tech.
Yeah, I just think Texas Tech certainly has been very dominant, but you look at who they played, a very sparse schedule. When you look at the people in the Big 12, I mean, very similar to the ACC. And, it's kind of a team that's developing their own personality, but they haven't shown a really big explosive offense. Their defense, really, they bought all those defensive linemen and very, very good at the line of scrimmage. But watching the Ducks, they do a really good job of attacking the perimeter, and the quarterback is now rated a number one guy by, Mel Kiper. So I thought he was pretty good, but he really looked good in the first half. And I just think they got way too much speed. They got a talent disparity there between Texas Tech and the Ducks. So I'm going with the Ducks big.
Okay. Dave, find the line on that game. I'm curious as to how many points what the line is there. See where if I need to put some money down. I got the kids' college fund. We could or what's left of it. So
all right, I'll look up all these lines. While I'm looking that up, Coach, Alabama, Indiana.
There's two things. One, I don't think anybody realizes how good Indiana is. Not just Mendoza, but their D is really good. They got a lot of confidence, and they're playing at an elite level. And Alabama still got that inability to run, which I think is going to be tough on them in a game against a team like Indiana's defense. It's not probably as good as Oklahoma's, but probably a lot more things to worry about stopping Indiana than they did in Oklahoma. So I just think I got to give the edge here to Indiana, as much as I hate.
Yeah. Well, I was with you. I mean, for a while there, Alabama against Georgia did not look great. And then, like you said, Oklahoma goes up 17-0 on them. Everyone's thinking, well, DeBoer is going to Michigan now because it's just going to get run out on a rail. They bounce back. And I'm with you, Coach. I believe that Indiana beats them. The only thing, I guess my only caveat there is Alabama's used to being they're back against the walls. And I don't know that Indiana's been – when's the last time Indiana was number one?
In basketball? No.
So, again,
I
I'm not
think
saying the big lights mess them up, but, there's something about being there before that settles the nerves.
Yeah, but this coach hadn't been there with him. This is his first playoff appearance, but he was with Washington. And I think Alabama's defense has made some strides for sure. I don't know if Overton's he's got these blood clots, but I wasn't trying to shortchange Alabama. I was just saying more people think, Big Ten, all that. To me, Indiana is better than I thought they were, and Ohio State's maybe not as good, not because they lost to Indiana, but look at it, the schedule that Ohio State played. I mean, gee, many Christmas. And
Indiana's a 7-point favorite against Bama. Oregon is a 1.5-point favorite against Texas Tech.
That is a housing department. I mean, most people would bet your condo or your beach place. You bet your condo, your IRA. I mean, I don't know. It's not my money, so I don't bet. But I'm just telling you, I really like Oregon, and people be mad at me if they lose, but I usually don't go out on a limb like this. I have predicted 11 out of the last 12 national championship games, though. The one I missed was when we picked Georgia to beat Alabama, and where we were offside. No, we weren't. But
yeah, there you go. So
Ohio State a 9.5-point favorite against Miami.
I think they can cover that unless Beck really turns it around. They got to get their offense going. Ohio State's defense is salty. Got 3 number 1 draft choices on their defense. And then they got those wide receivers that if they can manufacture some protection, that Sayin can hit those guys. It's not just Jeremiah Smith. I mean, they got them everywhere. So I'm going with – I don't know if they can cover the spread, but I think it's going to be Ohio State playing Georgia in the Fiesta Bowl on January the 9th.
I agree with you, but I just feel like there's some sort of universal karma or something that's going to wind up with Miami winning that game, so that we have to hear about Carson Beck versus Gunnar Stockton for 8 days.
The Beck Bowl, yeah. That would be something for sure.
It's just the way storylines work and the way the universe works that we have to see that again. And I know a lot of people are down for it. They're like, hey, that'd be great. Let's see if you'll throw 3 interceptions, to Georgia instead of for Georgia. So I get it, but I'm with the coach. I think Ohio State wins. Miami has not impressed me. They feel like they're living on the borrowed time.
It would be something, though. You got to change all your signals, all your wristbands, all that stuff. I mean, here's your opposing quarterbacks. Been in every meeting you've had for 4 years, so you'd have to do a lot of changing because the certainly you got the headsets that you go right into the quarterback's helmet, but he knows our signals, and we change them to a certain extent, but not a lot.
And Georgia's a 7-point favorite against Ole Miss. Numbers wise, I wouldn't touch that.
Yeah, I mean, you got to think Ole Miss, until we prove we can stop them, it's going to be right in there, but they got to prove they can stop us too. I think that's going to be the huge deal there. Which team can make some stops like the fourth quarter we did? Which team can drop some passes like they did? Which team can get an advantage in the kicking game? Going to be a neutral field. There'll be a lot of people for Ole Miss there. I don't know if Lane Kiffin's going to be there in a box or what. If he is, the over-under on the number of times they're going to show him is going to make you puke.
Roddy, I know you're in New Orleans. Are you going to make it to the game?
Yeah. Yeah. I always make it.
You might be watching from the hotel and let somebody else use your pass.
Hey, let's not talk about that. There's certain things that we can't say anymore. Now they put your picture on them now. It doesn't work like it used to. But I'll be going down there for our coverage. We're going to take a goodly number of staff down there. The thing we're most excited about, besides the game itself, is we actually get a chance 2 days before the game to speak to every player and every assistant coach. And we want to take a bunch of folks down there and try to get as many interviews with the players as possible. Try to talk to some of these assistant coaches. I remember Trey Scott held court last time we were down there, and it was, I wish they let him speak more, and we got Todd Hartley to start the season. Todd Hartley's an absolute riot, so I'm like, I know when I walk in the door, the first guy I'll head for probably is Todd Hartley, and then Trey Scott, try to get some of these assistant, coaches, because we're going to get Mike Bobo and Glenn Schumann, but, let's talk to Dante about the development of his cornerbacks and how far they've come. Let's talk to Stacey Searles about the fact he's lost all 5 starting offensive linemen at one point or another, and how he's built those guys up, and who can we look at next year, and how many of these guys he might lose this year. The running back situation, you've got some fantastic running backs. Let's see how Josh Crawford breaks them down and talks about, his thoughts on Peanut and stuff like that. So we should have a lot of content coming out of New Orleans. If somebody has to go down there and drink hurricanes and eat all the good food, I'm willing to do that for our viewers of this show. I'm willing to travel to New Orleans. It's a burden, but we'll do it.
Coach talked about leadership earlier. That's leadership right there.
That's just pure leadership right there.
Let's get to questions for Coach from UGASports.com from the DawgVent members. From H. Waldrop. Why can't the players squirt the Powerade or water into their own mouth? Love the show.
You mean as far as this is just my own opinion. I don't think they like to transfer the bottles to all the different players. They just like to have the trainers hold on to them so there won't be any germs. That's the only thing I can figure.
That's a great question, because I had not pondered it.
It's a good answer, though, isn't it?
Yeah. How many times have you seen somebody walking? Because I remember that when there would be a quick whistle or an injury timeout or something, or the coaches were talking to the referee or something. It's not a full timeout. You'd hear everybody on the sideline going, "Water, water." And everyone's looking around for water bottles. But when you actually have 5 or 6 people who carry 6 per cart and they run out, they can get the entire team hydrated real quickly by just bam, 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 bam. So it's efficient than, like Coach says, just handing them around. Everybody's looking for one, when if you know to look to the one person who has 6 bottles and won't run out, it's quicker and faster, and you don't have to call a whole timeout.
In that case, that defies what I said, because you're passing the bottles out and the kids actually do it themselves. But usually when they just go around and just hold it up to each person.
That's what I'm saying. It's so fast. She hits the guy or the girl hits all 5 guys real quick, and now your starting defensive line is watered even when there wasn't a timeout. It's quick.
Hydration, kids that big, the amount of perspiration they lose and all, it's critical during the game.
We see them cramping up.
And now they're really big on what all they're giving them at halftime, because it's so long since they've eaten their last meal, like 4 hours before. Now it's like 6 hours, and they got all kinds of stuff they have in there at halftime. I mean, we used to have, oranges, orange slices and stuff like that, but now they got, I mean, especially some of these old Chilardos that don't even play. I mean, they're grabbing a lot of those groceries.
I will say the best part about the Georgia-Florida game is on the Florida side, they have that giant wall of food. Right, you have to walk right past it to get to the media workroom.
But that's what the players eat.
Yep. Players and anybody who's bold enough to reach over and grab a couple on the way to the workroom.
Hadn't
Anybody
been
that's
working.
working.
Hadn't been working too well for them lately, but maybe it'll change it.
This question from John's Creek Dog.
Wait a
Could we
minute,
see more?
I just got a bulletin here. Another Florida player is transferred. No, not really.
Possible. Very
John's
possible.
Creek Dog wants to know, could we see more of the I formation with Roderick Robinson as the fullback?
Maybe a little bit, but not as a steady thing. But it just gives you a little change up, that a lot of different variations that you can use compared to if you got a lineman back there as a fullback. He's shown he can catch the ball, and he's a good blocker at point of attack, and he can also run the spin play where you give it to him quick and he can cut either way. So I could see that in short yardage. We used it a little bit. That was a great run that our number 2 made against when we went for it on 4th down against Ole Miss. It really changed the game around because they stop us there. Boy, they can really be. We were in a world of hurt there.
Coach, did you see Miami lining up their tight end directly behind the center on that first drive?
Yeah, I mean, people do that. We see it with the Ravens. They use their tight end to run the quarterback sneak, and then, at the last second, he'll go in motion and then jump under center. And sometimes they just snap it between his legs back to the guy that's deeper. So all kind of variations on that.
From Gibbs Dog 15, Coach, who are the coaches in Georgia's booth for the defensive staff? We all see position coaches on the sidelines for defense, and I know upstairs on offense, there's Bobo and Hartley. Who are the main defensive guys upstairs?
The only one that I know for sure that I can't think of his name. I think the guy that was a defensive coordinator at Tech is up there. But most of our D coaches are on the sideline. I know Schumann and Chidera and Trey Scott and Dante and T-Rob. But I would say he would be the persons up there.
I'm trying to remember the name.
Mainly what you want there is personnel. I mean, let's just say it's 1st down. They run a play, and then he's saying 11-11 or 13-13. He's telling Schumann what they're subbing, or if they're not, he'll say they're going fast, get it in there, things like that. Or if the ball is at a place that you really can't see in the field, then you're saying, hey, it's 3rd and 4, or it's 4th and 2, or they didn't make it, they got to go for it. Those are things that help you quantify what you got to call on your next call.
Andrew Thacker, is that the name?
Yeah, that's him.
Yep.
Doing a good job. He's taking our nickel backs. He's doing a really good job.
From Semper Dog 76, this time 3 years ago, we lost Mike Leach. He was always a great interview with a great story. I was wondering if you had any stories with him. He always makes me laugh, and I also love hearing your jokes of the week.
Well, that's nice of him. Mike Leach, I got to know him when he was at Kentucky, and then when he was being considered for a job with Coach Stoops out at Oklahoma. Coach Stoops asked me about him, and I'm sure he was going to hire him anyhow, but I told him I thought he was really kind of the brains behind Hal Mummy's offense, although Mummy certainly started it all. But, one of the stories about him was back when I first got out of coaching, I did a little radio show once in a while with 680, the fan, and they were always trying to get me to get coaches on. And so somebody called in and said, hey, Coach, you talked to all these people, SEC and all, how about getting one with Mike Leach? And so my producer said, hey, this person wants a story with Mike Leach. I want you to get an interview. We're just going to let that go. I said, look, I can get that. So I texted him, and the next day was on there. You thought we had the president of the United States. That guy was so far. Man, that guy's connected. And it just luck for me. But Leach came right on and talked about it. And he's just very non-assuming and very creditable. I used to text him when he was at Mississippi State about prospects that we weren't on that maybe he could get on. And but the best thing he ever did for me was 1997. We're playing them, and they got the ball at the end of the half, 12 seconds to go, like 70 yards to go, or maybe 80. And, first down, no timeouts left. And they drop back and throw a pass in the flat. And Bailey's brother, Ronald, intercepts it and takes it in for a touchdown. So the risk and reward was ridiculous because you're going to make it. So I always said, Mike, if you don't ever make another call, that was the best one in the history of our defense. So that was a good story there.
Semper Fi Dog also had a joke for you, Coach. Says you may have heard this one. Why are there not any prostitutes in Tennessee?
You got to have teeth.
Because they're all volunteers.
Oh,
that's a good story there. But I got one before I forget it because I want to make sure I get it out of here. This guy's and his wife are laying in bed, and she's saying, you never even do anything with me anymore as far as making me feel good. Said, you used to stroke my hair, and so he's just kind of laying there, and he puts his hand over there, and she said, you really used to give me a kiss, and he just reaches over and smacks her on the cheek, and she said, yeah, and you used to bite me on the neck. And guy gets up and walks. He said, where are you going? He said, I'm going to get my teeth.
Well played.
Okay.
All right, 3 more questions here from 83 WR Dog. What's the biggest problem that Ole Miss faces without Lane Kiffin? Can the remaining staff cover for a leader who abandons his team during the playoffs?
There's going to be some back and forth on that about the good and the bad. And I think it's kind of been a rallying point for the players just to prove that, hey, we're the team and we've got essentially the same people except for the head coach, which is a big deal. I mean, he definitely has set the standard there. He's put his program in place. And but I do feel like that, as I mentioned, it's a thing where we can, we're all together. We didn't leave. It's our team. Let's prove it. And that can be a unifying force there for anybody that's kind of on the bubble, about giving him too much credit or too much blame or whatever it might be. But I think there's not going to be that much difference because just one guy's gone. You know what I mean? So if he'd taken the whole offensive staff and they'd had to restructure that and get somebody else calling the plays, but everything, it's almost like he has COVID. You know what I mean? He's missing the game. And of course, he's missing the prep now, but it's a unique situation, but I don't think it's going to make that much difference.
And Pete Golding keeps talking about that it resembles the COVID year when Nick Saban had to be out and Steve Sarkisian had to step up.
Right. And I think in the case of it helps Pete, the fact he had that one game to kind of get used to being back on the sideline and being the head coach and all, but it's going to be a different ball game when he looks over and sees that red and black on the other side.
Yeah, we've seen teams get really motivated. I think Florida had their best game against Georgia after they lost their coach. It's like, let's go win one for the Gipper, if you will. And so Georgia right now is, hey, look, we lost last year. We were, Kirby had lost his dad. There's a terrorist attack. We lost our quarterback. We lost our punter. We didn't play like we want to. Georgia's motivated. I'm hearing practice is chippy over there. They're practicing really hard. But Ole Miss is going to come in with a us versus the world mentality too. So they'll be very well motivated.
This from HugDog18. We've often read about young players who have taken that next step, or maybe they're getting reps with the ones. What are the factors you look for when choosing youth over experience? And how do you know as a coach when somebody is ready?
Oh, man.
Well, as far as youth over experience, I mean, you just got to base it on what's going on out there performance-wise, not potential. But you got to be able to look at given the same amount of reps, will this guy overtake this guy? Is he playing because he knows more what to do as compared to his ability? Knowing what to do is important, but down the road, you want to, and certainly sometimes when I would start a younger guy over an older guy early in the year, I would think in my mind, this is what we need to beat these teams, this guy right here. And we're going to take our lumps with some of the mistakes he makes early. So I think you're going to go with, to me, as your talent starts to get close to being knowledgeable, you're going to go with talent over experience every time.
And then Hug Dog also wants to know if there was a commissioner of college football, who would it be and why?
Oh, they keep talking about all these different people. And I just think at this point, there's so many cooks in the kitchen, making these decisions about the CFP and NIL and all that. I don't know that there's a unifying force there because we got so many different contingencies out there, the bigger schools, the little schools. I'd like to see a Power 40 conference where the haves have it. You have a commissioner of that, and that's it. Because I just don't think some of these others, it's pretty obvious watching the last couple of years, it's really not fair to these teams that try to play as an at-large team like we've seen the last 2 years. They're just not competitive, and you're not going to get any better. I mean, time after time, it's not going to happen. So I don't know that one person is the answer, but I would like to see all 40-man deal and pick 16 teams out of it to win the whole thing.
Final two things I want to sneak in here. One, Will Muschamp taking the Texas defensive coordinator job. Thoughts on that?
I was kind of surprised because I've been talking to Will over the last couple of years, and he's really enjoyed the ability to go see his son play, to be around his other son up there, working for CAA in Nashville, and just traveling around to different places, visiting up at Syracuse and going around and just being enjoying it. But at the same time, you got that in your system, and it's hard for it to ever leave, even though you've done a tremendous job and been very successful in helping us in other places. And I think deep down, be hard for him to come back here and have the same role when he couldn't be a full-time coach at this point. There's nothing there for him, but he could be an analyst. But there's kind of that little thing in your system that you want to, go do it. And he liked living out there in Austin before. He had a great run under Mac Brown, and I certainly think that all the Georgia fans should not be down on the fact that he went there on him. You can't blame him. I mean, he's been very loyal to us. We wouldn't be where we are, and Kirby's mentioned that, without his help, and I'm happy for him.
And then Josh Brooks getting a contract extension as Georgia's athletics director. I would think some of this comes when LSU needed an athletics director and his name gets floated out there, but also just Georgia's success. Look at basketball this year and the rebound it's having. A really good run for Josh Brooks here in the last couple of years.
Well, two things I want to say publicly. First of all, Dr. Moorhead having the foresight to elevate him and make Josh the AD, and giving him the support system and helping him raise the money to fortify some of these facilities, but also build new ones. We're getting ready to open up this new track, and the way he's brought in an infusion of coaching talent and the success rate, some of these sports that hadn't been as good, and continued to, he moved up 2 guys in the tennis and men's and women, but I'm not going to go over all that. But in the grand scheme of things, Josh came along at the right time for Kirby because he's a football guy. He worked there for Coach Rick, and he knows Georgia. He didn't have to come in and learn everything about it. I just think he's A+ what he's done here, and maybe they did come after him. I don't know, but I don't think he was looking to leave. But he certainly is not paid as much even with this as some of the other people in the league. But very loyal soldier, and he, the number one thing, Kirby likes him. That's enough for me. But I also like him, and I think he's definitely like Radi. He'll get that back to you. He really has shown some foresight in what we've done on facilities in the stadium, and he's done a heck of a job here.
Yeah, very much so. He needs to be paid with as among the highest ADs in the nation because he is one of the best ADs in the nation. And I don't say that just because I consider him a friend of the show. I say that because I've followed his career and I've seen the adjustments he's made everywhere he's been. And the Athletics Association is in good hands with him, and he deserved the raise. So congrats to him.
And he's accessible. Like that's one big thing. A lot of times these people get a role like that and they really insulate themselves. If you reach out to his office, like you hear back from them. It may not always be what you want, but you hear back. And to me, that means a lot in a world where that doesn't happen a whole lot.
And it's an ever-changing landscape here when you look at ticket prices, parking, NIL. How are you going to substitute this $20 million you lost, the TV money that's now going? How do you take away from other budgets? They've shown a lot of creative stuff, and you got to keep working at it. I want to see our Olympic sports continue to compete on the level that they have. I mean, and it looks like our gymnastics starting to improve, and we've seen the success soccer's had. But all of a sudden, you start defunding those, so you don't have any way to supplement that $20 million. That's going to be hard on those programs. So it's just we all enjoy the fact that we're living around here watching Georgia football, but there's other sports involved, and then you got to maintain the athletic department as a whole, all the people that work over there. So it all gets back to what kind of revenue you're bringing in, how you balance it out. And he's shown a lot of foresight in that.
More concerts, Josh. Let's go. Let's get those concerts going. All right, folks, that's all the time we have. That's all the time we have for this week's show. We want to wish everyone a Merry Christmas. Christmas in a couple days, and we hope you get everything that you've asked for and that Santa's very good to you. I think we will have a show on the 30th. It'll depend on the scheduling out in New Orleans. The Bulldogs will be there. I will try to set that up, but definitely we will have the Georgia watch-along show.
Yeah,
so.
Dayne and I can handle a show if you can't, but we know if you'll be eating, we'll be all right. But we're definitely going to have the watch-along and just say thanks to everybody encouraging to me that we get this many people watching. At least they make me feel like we're doing something to help them. But the big thing is we're all for Georgia, and we want to see it continue to go on and get this third national championship.
Amen. All right, folks. We'll definitely see you next week in one way or another. Y'all take care.